This episode of the Zen Disc Golf Podcast is brought to you by AppalachianDiscGolf.com. Discs, bags, accessories, and even books signed by yours truly, with free shipping on all orders. That's right, free shipping on all orders. AppalachianDiscGolf.com. Boom. Hello, chain chasers. It's time for your moment of Zen. The future's out of your control. Enjoy what is happening right now. Do what's appropriate, what is right in the present moment, and let the future be the future. That's from Hardcore Zen by Brad Warner. Welcome to episode 9 of the Zen Disc Golf Podcast.
Well, hey, Pat, how are you?
I'm good, Zach. How are you?
Good. I'm a little upset you won't let me yell at you on the podcast
You
anymore.
already did that, so we have to do other stuff.
Fine.
Let's say hello to our visitor.
Well, who's there?
Hey, it's Tim Stewart, Mind Body Disc again. How are ya?
Excellent. How you guys doing today?
That was good. That was my radio voice. Did you like it?
I liked it. Tim, doing well.
Both Zach and I are hoping this podcast propels our career into radio.
Yes.
I think Zach has a much better chance than I do.
It's my rugged good looks.
I have to be edited. And they can't do that on the radio. Tim, you probably get hired way before me too. Because
I don't know.
I just get on there. So in Zen Disc Golf news, Zach and I, after we finished our Slurpees after the last episode, we made a life change, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
That sounds bad, but we did.
It does sound bad.
We went paleo. Didn't we? We put our Slurpees down and both of us just went paleo.
Yes, we
decided
did.
Enough sugar, and now we've gone to just straight coffee.
What Pat calls coffee could legitimately revive a deceased person. It is so strong.
Do you see why on that other podcast I was like, I'm struggling because I've knocked off coffee?
I'm going to be breathing. I'm scared.
Yeah. I'm kind of scared because you're just basically drinking half of what I normally drink. I split my coffee into two and gave that to you, and your eyes are like twice as open from the last show.
I can hear colors.
Are you sure that's coffee you're drinking there?
Sometimes it's not worth asking questions, Tim.
All right.
When Patrick gives you free stuff at the house, you just take it.
Just take what you can get.
Zach's always really surprised when like he comes over and I'm like, hey man, have some hot wings. He's like, oh man, you should have done that. I'm like, this is what you get paid to do a podcast. Small price to be employed by yours truly.
Oh, it's all in good fun.
He was like, a whole Slurpee? You're gonna buy that for me? I'm like, it's $1.85.
I'm a simple man. What can I say?
So guys, I'm really super. Oh, don't look at my paper. Have you been looking at this the whole time?
You put it down. I kind of,
He's opening up Christmas gifts over there before Christmas.
You're the one with the rules over there.
Tim can't even see this paper. It's not fair.
Tim says he works with electronics. He's probably been watching for hours.
Yeah, it's not as far as you know.
That would explain the blogs.
Yes. Yes, the pieces are coming together.
Keylogger.
I do have surveillance cameras up here in the house. For reals. You knew that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we're always being filmed. So if you punch me on podcast, I've got it there for the popo.
Nah, I just take my shirt off and dance when you're not in the room.
That's okay because I always have a camera that's periscoping when you don't know.
It's awesome.
And for those of you who don't know what just happened, because you can't see what just happened, I just had a truly ADD moment because a squirrel just walked by the store door, and I totally distracted Zach. Squirrel. Anyway, so today I am super excited, guys, about this podcast. We're going to do something a little different than we have ever before, but I think this is going to be a great podcast for people who are just getting into the sport, and we love that because honestly, we're always trying to grow the sport. So what we're going to do is a Disc Golf 101.
Yes.
And so we're going to talk about people just getting into it, but it's also going to be meaningful to those who are already in the sport because there's going to be a lot of information here. So are you guys stoked as I am?
Absolutely.
Or is it just the coffee?
Let's do it.
Well, I guess we can measure Tim as the baseline, because if we get really super excited and start, Tim is still level, then we'll know it's just the coffee.
Woohoo, let's go.
Do you have coffee over there, Tim?
I do not drink coffee.
You might need some to keep up.
I'm a terrible paleo person.
Because coffee makes you paleo.
Yes. And I'm still kind of taken aback. Are you telling me that cavemen didn't have Slurpees?
They might have.
Well, it was on a cave. That's where the 7-Eleven got the idea from, I think. But I don't know. I don't history much.
I don't history. My boss calls all sports sportsting. I'm not really into sportsting, which is a lie, though, because he's into disc golf now, which is amazing.
Very good.
Anyway, so Disc Golf 101. The first thing I want to do is I want to give away a book first. Let's get that out of the way. So for everybody new listening, and you've been listening for, say, the past 5 minutes, you're like, where is this podcast going? It's actually going to go somewhere, but I want to give away my book to somebody who deserves it for giving me a 5-star review on Amazon. Yes. And so since Zach is not privy to the notes, as usual, because the notes have secret answers on them for the quiz show that's coming up with between the Ticklish Hamster and Mind Body Disc coming up, he doesn't have the book giveaway to read, so I'm going to read it. All right, so this is a 5-star review, and it's titled "Thanks!" emoticon smiley face.
Whoa.
That's it. That's the so if you wrote, no, I'm just kidding. That's
Best review ever.
Yes. Okay, so it's 5-star review. The title is "Thanks!" smiley emoticon. This comes from, if I say your name wrong, I'm sorry, Cherridah Weigel, and they purchased a Kindle version, and they said the realization that disc golf is 80% mental and 20% physical led me to start following Zen and the Art of Disc Golf on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and oh yeah, listen to a podcast or two. So they're probably actually going to listen.
Awesome.
Nice.
So again, I really hope if I didn't say your name wrong. So she said, a podcast or two, being calm and taking in nature and clearing your head to make the perfect shot. Easier said than done, but Pat does a wonderful job across all forms of media, inspiring you to live in the moment and just throw. Thank you! Exclamation point. So thank you for that review. And Cherridah Weigel? I'm going to go ahead and out on a limb and say that's a Miss Weigel. If you wrote that review, please send me an email at zendiscgolf@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to sign a book and have one sent out to you. So moving on from there, here's the exciting part. So gentlemen, here's how it's going to work, okay? Y'all haven't seen these questions, right?
Nope.
So this is going to be really on the fly. The first part I just call a warm-up. This is just to get your brains working, get you in the disc golf mindset, disc golf world. These are all objective questions, so there is no right or wrong answer. Well, I guess there is some for as we move on. It gets more and more subjective. But my first question goes out to you, Tim. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. What is the best thing about disc golf?
Wow. I have to pick one?
No, pick as many as you want.
You know, man, for me, it's honestly, it's being outside. I love being outside, and it makes me go outside a whole lot more than I think I would otherwise. And that's, to me, that's the best thing. I think the second best thing is a real close one. Is it's a way to compete with yourself. It's always a quest to get better than you were the day before, and there's not a whole lot of things that make you do that.
Right on. And again, from one thing, 10,000 things too.
Yes.
You got it.
So, and we talked about that in the last podcast. When you learn one thing in one place, it can translate to 10,000 other things. So he's saying it gives you the motivation to get better. So I know for me, disc golf actually gives me the motivation to come back and be good, be a better man. Maybe not for everybody, but for me. And for a lot of our listeners, I think. What do you think, Zach? What's the best thing about disc golf?
Well, for me, and I can relate this back to your book, it's a walking meditation.
Right on.
You know very well, I have a very high-speed, very stressful job, similar to what you do as well. It's the most healthy and most practical way that I have found to distance myself from those negative instances, from the job, from the stress, all of it, be able to just simply throw a disc and chase a perfect flight. And it allows me to come home with a clear head and be a better parent, better husband, and just a better human being. So for me, it's the walking meditation.
Right on. So like a decompression.
Absolutely.
I think that's I think that's pretty much key. For me, also the same thing, probably just a combination of it. It'd be real difficult for me to pick out the favorite thing. Chasing that perfect flight. When you see that disc do exactly what it's going to do, man, is that a high or what?
Wow, that's amazing.
It's like crack.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And the sound of those chains. I mean, I had we were actually having a baby shower here this past weekend, and I had several baskets set up because I'm always trying to take every opportunity to grow the sport. And I had one set up in the backyard. I had one set up in the front yard. This is really funny, so that people knew where the house was. And I had a baby-shaped balloon flying from it. Did you see the photo?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I love it too. And then I had I had a basket set up in the backyard, and just for people to throw at. And I'd be talking to somebody. There's like 50 people here at the party, and I'd hear "kling, kling," and I'd like, I love that sound. Kling, I love that sound. I have to go see who's throwing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Once you hear those chains, you never turn back.
Nope.
So yeah, I agree with you. Walking meditation gets you out in nature, gets you some of that vitamin D, that sunlight. Man, it's good for your mind. It's good for your body. It's good for your spirit. So that would be my answer. Tim, what advice would you give to a new disc golfer who maybe has played one round and wants to get started?
The best advice that I can give a new disc golfer is play with the right discs and start with maybe one or two. You see so many of these new folks that go out to the course, and no matter how good at tips they've been given at everything else, if they're playing with the crazy overstable high-speed drivers,
like a Michelin.
Yeah, it's like a Michelin. They're going to be Michelin some good times out on the course is what's going to happen.
Clever.
But I
love it.
Yeah, I think I can't tell you how many times I've taken a Firebird or an Eagle or a destroyer out of a new disc golfer's hands and put in their hands a Leopard or just something nice and easy to throw. Right. And the look on their face when they throw that disc and they actually get it to go straight and far is it's priceless.
Right on. So would you recommend like a putter or something?
If you're going to start, I would say not so much a putter. As much as I like throwing putters, I think if you throw a neutral mid-range as your first disc, something that you can get to go straight, something that you can get to hyzer, you can get to go right or left. Something like that I think is a good choice. And it teaches you to throw well. It's something that you can throw quite a ways. And I think sometimes newer players don't realize just how far you can throw a mid-range.
I agree with that.
Yeah, because I pretty much put a mid-range out there just as far as some of my distance drivers, just depending on how good I throw. What about you, Zach?
Well, firstly, let me say that it's exceptionally difficult to say anything better than Tim just said. That was my first thought, and he articulated it exceptionally well. The only way that I can really change or think something different to say is to say that when you have your good discs selected, find I wouldn't want to call it a mentor, but a good group of players that will elevate your game. And that's what worked for me. I started playing in the weeklies in Pensacola and getting the snot kicked out of me, but it improved my game to a level that I had never played at, and I learned a lot by watching how they played, how they stayed calm, and they gave me tips and tricks as I went along, and ultimately shaped me into the golfer I am now. So
Awesome.
pick a good group of local golfers, and you'll know who they are. The guys that are wearing polos that look like professionals on the course. And play with those guys, and they will make you a better golfer, and it might make you a better person too.
Okay, so neutral discs and players and find people who are better than you to mentor you.
Absolutely.
I absolutely agree with both of those. I can't add anything else to that. That's probably the two best tips. What I can say is I'm really surprised at the mental toughness that Zach has, because he's sitting across from me and he was able to articulate that answer while staring at me, just trying to goof him up as much as possible. Because I put on what I call my Ticklish hamster costume while he was answering the question. Did you just tweet an image of me?
I saved the picture, but Pat is currently mocking me with a fake mustache.
You scared me for a minute. I was thinking maybe this is the point where I'm happy we're not video Skyping this.
I'm the one that should be happy we're not videos. I had to get in character for this role of the game show host. So I have a Ticklish hamster. See, he does the what do we call it? The Ring of Fire so well with that mustache, and he gets so serious. I thought I needed to wear a mustache to ask you guys these questions.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
I don't look as fantastic as Zach. Okay, so going right along with that question, we actually got a Twitter question that I was able to fit in here very easily from Jamie Pine. And he asks, what's the best way to help new players not be discouraged or dislike disc golf because they can't do it the first time? Tim?
Wow, I think, it's got to go right back to it's a couple of things. Number one, I think that goes back to the answer to the last question. I think both mine and Zach answer that question as well. You get the right disc in your hands and you get somebody to help you. It's not, I think sometimes we make this game too hard. We're just out there throwing discs. And if you get the right disc and you get a couple of tips, keep it level, don't throw it up in the air. It's not that hard to get them to get a good flight of the disc right away. And I think that's what keeps you coming back for more. If you go out there with the wrong plastic and nobody to help you, it's discouraging.
Absolutely. And that really reminds me, your answer reminds me of a story I read. I don't remember where it was. I want to say it was in Autobiography of a Yogi. Have you guys read that?
No, I just bought it the other day. I'm still trying to work through the mega list that you've given me.
I know. I read a lot.
Yes, you do.
I've been tasked with creating a Zen Disc Golf book club. I don't know how that would work.
I did.
Great idea.
But I'd probably get a lot of my list from Mind Body Disc. But it reminds me from a story. I believe I got it from that. If I didn't, I'm sorry. But from Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. And he explains in the right context, when you look at something from an above view, just how ridiculous our worries are the higher you get. So even though the certain things we worry about or that affect us, that like make us give up or get really upset or angry, that if you take a wide enough world view of it, that it just looks ridiculous for us to get upset about. And he relates it to a child dropping an ice cream cone. And so he says, when we're in the park and we see a child, excuse me, clear my throat. You see a child and he's given an ice cream cone and he's enjoying it and everything, and then he accidentally drops it and then starts crying. You look at it as an adult and you go, why does that kid care so much? We just get another ice cream cone, right? But are we much different as adults when we lose our wallet or our keys?
Nope.
No. What kind of ice cream was it, though?
Our cell phones.
I might cry, too.
Yeah, absolutely. But our cell phones, think about that. Take away our cell phones.
Yeah,
we may not cry, but we will freak out.
Yeah, people start losing it.
Yeah, they do.
So it just depends on on how big of a view that you can take. And so what you were just saying about people and what Jamie Pine is asking, they dislike disc golf because they can't do it right the first time. I mentioned in the book, I said, look. Adults have this thing that kids don't have. Kids have an understanding that learning takes time, that they're not going to do everything right the first time. They know that they have to get on the bike, fall over a couple times, and then roll on. They know that it takes time to learn to tie their shoes, but they don't give up because they know if they never tie their shoes, they're not going to get anywhere. If they're never able to ride a bike, they're never going to get anywhere. But with adults, we want to do things right the first time or we give up.
Yeah, that's a great point. The other thing that I think about too when I hear that question is what exactly is right? What's quote unquote the right way? I mean,
yeah.
Is there a right way to play this game? You go out on the course and watch people play, and if there's a smile on their face, in my mind, they're playing it the right way.
That's the right way. That reminds me of that guy we played with. That's a good point, Tim. That reminds me of that guy we played with, Zach, a couple weeks ago, who I walked up to and said, you must have played baseball because this guy, he did like a run up like a pitcher and then threw the disc like I'd never seen anybody throw.
Yeah, it was strange.
And so he threw it well. I wasn't trying to put him down in anything. He goes, thanks, I guess. Just like, dude, you parked it, so I'm giving you a compliment. Anyway, so how about you, Zach? What's the best way to help new players not get discouraged?
Well, when I started, I was that guy with the wrong discs, and I got frustrated because I rarely struggle with anything. I've been so fortunate to be able to wrap my head around things quickly enough to figure them out. And then
look at you.
I know. And but after time and time again of failing, try, fail, try again, fail better.
Right.
I figured it out, and I recently took one of my friends who's learning how to play, Steve. You've played with him. Mm-hmm. He's a natural athlete and a fierce competitor, and he's never struggled at anything in his life, but he can't putt. Not
right.
at all. And he says, he gets mad and he goes, oh, I'm a better athlete than you. How are you beating me? I'm like, well, I'm a better putter than you. He goes, well, how did you get good at putting? I go, I don't know. I've done it about 50,000 times.
Right. Yeah.
He said, well, what did you do? I said, well, man, I putt for 3 or 4 hours a night every day.
Well, let me ask you, Zach, how long have you played?
It's going on 5 years now. 6 years.
How about you, Tim?
On and off for about 13 years now.
13 years. I can say, again, on and off, I took a long time off if you've read my book, but for 18 years. So my game's old enough to buy cigarettes.
Yes.
But it shouldn't. But every time we go out and play, I'm learning again.
Yep.
Every round. Do you guys agree? Every round
yes.
we go out. It doesn't matter how many years we play. Every time we go out, we're learning again.
Yes.
And absolutely.
The lesson that I'm trying to impart on Steve is that it doesn't happen playing 10 rounds, and it might not happen after 1,000, but sooner or later it'll all start to click. But you have to learn your plastic. You have to learn that you don't need to birdie every hole and play for par.
Goodness, if you had to do that, then I'd be way behind.
and most importantly, it just takes time.
Yeah.
Time is your ally in this game. It's not against you.
It's a dirty 4-letter word called work.
Nobody wants to do it these days.
No, they don't.
Next question, Tim. This kind of goes along with what you were saying before, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you for a more specific answer. What first discs would you personally recommend to a new player?
To name a few specifically, I would say I really like the Comet from Discraft, the Fuse from Latitude 64, which is a very similar disc. If you can find a beat up rock, would be a great disc to start with.
Okay.
Any mid-range that goes straight, I think is a great choice.
Okay, so that's what all those have in common: mid-range, straight. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you, Zach?
Well, Tim's a jerk. He stole some of the discs I was going to use.
I know one. I know one you're going to do.
I think that every player should have a buzz.
There it is.
And particularly a nice beat-in one. That's my favorite disc to throw. And also, start with a putter if you can, a putter and a straight mid. And I think the comment's a great one because that teaches you good form. You're not trying to manipulate anything. You have to throw it straight to get it to go straight.
Here's the thing that I have to explain to a lot of people when I take them out, because I will hand them a putter and maybe a mid-range, but I'll play a putter-only game somewhat quite often. When people are transitioning mentally from knowing what ball golf is and to the disc golf world, it's almost unfortunate that we call our putters putters, because ball golf, people who are familiar with ball golf, if you tell them, go ahead and take a putter off the tee, they're like, that is ridiculous. I never saw Greg Norman take a putter off the tee.
That's funny. You know, speaking of pros using putters, I got a funny story from at the GBO this year. They had a pro panel, and they asked all the pros up on the stage if they could only play with one disc, what would it be? And they got to Simon Lizotte, and his answer was, I'd throw my putter because I can throw it 500 feet and then putt with it.
He would say that.
But he can. That's crazy. So if you show the newer folks that you can throw a putter 500 feet,
right,
that's huge.
So that's the first thing I try to explain to them. It's like, here's why a putter is a putter. It's because of these different characteristics, but that doesn't mean that you can't throw it. You know, most holes are around 300-400 feet, especially around this area. It doesn't mean you can't put it up there for bird once you get your throw right.
My putter drive, I usually say if it's more than 280, I'll probably throw a mid. But if it's 280 and under, I can get a putter out there.
What kind of putter do you take off the tee?
It depends. If I need it to go straight, I'm throwing a voodoo, and if it's, I just throw a voodoo. What
about you, Tim?
I carry 4 or 5 pures in my bag, and I just changed the plastic based on what I'm going to do with it. So off the tee, I found the recycled plastic pures to be the most stable and can handle the most power. So I'll throw one of those all day long. Right
on. So forever and ever, I played with a KC Pro AVR off the tee. I really like that one, but I've since switched to the Discmania P1s and P2s.
Yep.
So there you go. You've got 3 guys on the podcast who are saying you can take a putter off a tee. It's not ridiculous for you new players. My new discs, I was going to go with a Buzz, and I would go with a Buzz. A Buzz would be a great one. Zach knows I'm a big fan of the Claymore now. I'd recommend a Claymore, and either a KC Pro or a Discmania P1 would be great. So again, that's mid-ranges, stable mid-ranges, and stable putters all around. So that would be your best bet for new discs. All right. But let's say, Tim, they refuse to listen to you to get a mid-range and a putter. They want a driver.
That was me.
Yeah. My first disc was a Viper, which was a big mistake. I don't know if have you played with that?
Wow, yeah, I used to have one. Jeez.
Yeah, I talk about that in my book. That's why I gave up for 14 years.
It's like buying a Whippet.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. It's not bad, but it goes left.
Yes, it does. So, Tim, what would you say for a person's first? Say they get say they're getting the putter down, they're getting the mid-range down, because I knew you guys would answer that. Where would you go from there for a nice, stable driver?
Again, something that goes straight and something that they can get a little bit of flex out of, or for folks who don't understand what flex is, where you can throw it and it kind of turns over a little bit and glides for a while. So something like, I think a Leopard is a fantastic first driver.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think from what I throw on my bag, the Vision by Latitude 64 is a very similar disc. You mentioned in the last episode, the Seer, I think. Would be another good choice. But any of those in that category would be fantastic.
Awesome. What do you think, Zach?
I swore by an Orion LS when I started, and I'm also a huge fan of the MVP discs Inertia.
Right on.
I can throw an Inertia and get it to flex a lot off a backhand, and anybody that knows me well enough knows I have noodle arms. I don't have a very strong backhand. I can flick forever. But my backhand's kind of weak because I'm a little dude. But
you're not a little dude.
Well,
you tower over me.
I'm a skinny dude. But I would say the inertia. I think, and not a heavy one. If you're a new golfer and you want a driver, like, I want a 177. No, you knock it off.
Yeah, good. That's a good point.
That's a great point.
Get a 155, get a 160, something light, so you can throw it a little farther, so you're not so disappointed, and it's going to flex more.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a lot that I would recommend for a first driver. All of them are very similar flights. I just came up with some of them while y'all were talking. I kept adding more to my list. Leopard. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to overlap with Tim. Mm-hmm. A Innova Leopard is a great first disc. Valkyrie, very simple. I mean, very similar to a Leopard. It's a great first disc. A Discraft Stalker.
Great disc.
Very good. It's almost like as the first time I ever threw one or saw one, somebody described it to me as a buzz on steroids. So if you're already out there throwing the buzz, then that might be a good transition disc to a driver. And then I have two more new ones that I've been throwing, which I think would be good. And they're kind of more obscure, but a Vibram Track.
Great disc.
The one like I lost at Munden. We still can't find it. I'm going to have to get some more from
You're going to have to
Infinite.
get me a hazmat suit to get back there, man.
And an Axiom Alias.
Oh, yeah. You threw that like it was going out of style.
Have you thrown any of the Axiom discs there, Tim?
I've thrown a bunch of the MVPs, but none from Axiom.
Fortunately, Alan really likes us here at Zen Disc Golf. Alan Barker from Infinite Discs, and he gave me. He said, create a list pretty much of things I want to throw, and I just kind of looked through his website and I picked some of those out. And I would have never thrown those last two discs had I not had that opportunity. I lost the Vibram Track, and I'm going to go order like 3 more. Super stable, lots of glide, beautiful flight, and it's very similar to that. The only disc I've that I've thrown besides that track that's very similar is that Axiom Alias, which is very good. So that gives you a lot to start with, everyone. Definitely start with a mid-range or a putter, something really stable. And then when you feel like you've got those down, those discs are doing what they're supposed to be doing, then kind of beef it up and go into the driver range, starting with fairway drivers or what they call controlled drivers, and then distance drivers. From there, comes a little bit more complicated question, and I'll turn this over to, it's a longer question, so I'll turn it either over to you, Tim, or Zach. If one of you could explain to a very new person the 4 numbers on discs, the speed, glide, turn, and fade. There's a lot of, it's very kind of confusing, honestly, for a very new player. Can one of you
Zach, you want to take that?
Hey, I figure you take 2 numbers, I'll take 2. How's that sound?
That sounds great. You want me to go first?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we'll start with speed, and I think I mentioned in the last episode, I think that's the most misunderstood number. I think that especially for new players, they go into the store and then they see those 12s, 13s, 14s, 15s, and this was me. This is exactly me. I went into the local sporting goods store and I bought the driver with the highest speed number on it as my first disc, and it was a big mistake. And really, that speed number, it really only means 2 things. Number one, it means how quickly will it slow down. So the higher the number, the less it will slow down. So it'll maintain its speed for a longer period of time.
And you mean a spinning speed?
Correct. Okay. Yeah. So your speed, so the drag or the resistance is lower on a higher speed driver. So it'll maintain its speed and its spin a lot longer in the air. The putter's a very low speed, but it's got a blunt nose, so it slows down a lot quicker than a higher speed driver. So that's part of it. But the other part is that number really is indicative of how fast you need to be able to throw the disc in order for it to do what those other 3 numbers say. So if it says that it's going to turn or fade a certain amount, then you have to be able to throw the disc at a speed 14, for example, if it's a speed 14 disc, for those other numbers to come true. When you look at flight charts online and you see the path of the disc, the path that you see that disc is supposed to fly is dependent upon you actually being able to throw it that speed number. So what I find is a lot of new players, and myself included, for a while I backed down, and my primary driver is a speed 12 because that seems to suit my arm speed the best. I can actually throw a speed 12 driver farther than I can throw most speed 13, 14, or 15 drivers.
What's your go-to driver on that?
The trespass.
Okay.
So I can get that to flex the way that it's supposed to. I can get it to fade the way that it's supposed to because I can throw it at the speed it likes to be thrown. So maybe that's a better way to say it, is that speed number is the speed at which that disc likes to be thrown.
That's great.
So that's the biggest thing for me, is don't think that just because you buy a quote unquote faster driver that you're going to throw it farther. Typically that's not the case, and you blow people away when you put, I think a Leopard is an 8 or a 9 in their hand, and they throw it and they outthrow these super fast overstable drivers. So it kind of, see the light bulb go on when you do that. So that's the biggest thing for speed for me. Glide is pretty straightforward. It's how long will it stay in the air with little effort. So for me, I like, for example, mid-ranges with a lot of glide because I don't have to power them. I don't have to throw them as hard as I can for them to go a long way. The Seer is another disc that glides forever. You don't have to throw it that far, and it just kind of sits up flat and glides. So I kind of compare that to if you throw a Frisbee on a beach. Those have a ton of glide. They stay in the air with very little effort. Right. So the higher the number, the better the glide, I guess.
All right, so your turn. So this is the numbers on your disc. The turn is for resistance to high speed turn. So that means when the disc comes out of your hand at the recommended speed for that disc, how much is it going to flex one way or another? Now, for the purpose of this conversation, we'll talk about a right hand backhand. If you were to throw a disc on a right hand backhand, it should, in theory, land with fade to the left if it's just a normal, stable driver. Which is
what people don't understand the first time they take their disc out. Why is it always going to the left?
Yes, exactly.
And a lot of times people don't correct. They just keep throwing it straight and going, why is it going to the left?
Yes.
It's supposed to.
Very simple physics. So a good, normal, stable disc will have a 0. And the more understable you go will be your negative numbers, neg 1, neg 2, neg 3. I think 1 or 2 of them even go to neg 4. I think that would be the Vulcan, if that memory serves me correctly. Those discs the negative numbers are less resistance to high speed turn. So when you throw it, you'll see that S-curve. On a right hand backhand, that disc will flex to the right and then slowly work its way back to the left. And that's where your fade comes in. Your resistance and your fade are closely interrelated as far as the flight path of the disc, with your fade being a 1, 2, or a 3, or even a 0, is how much that's going to come back, and that's its resistance to low speed turn. That's when it's slowing down at the end of the flight. How much is that going to come back to the left off your your right hand backhand? And those two things go hand in hand, and that's where you see your flight path. That's how you can shape shots. That's those two numbers and the combination of the speed are really what help you decide how to shape a shot, what disc to throw on a hole that might be have a smaller window, a curve in the fairway, a dog leg, etc., etc.
Awesome. Can I just say something, you guys? You guys are amazing. I didn't give you any show notes, and you guys are going totally off the cuff, and I feel like I'm interviewing two physicists.
I like that. Awesome.
Yes. So that's awesome. I wish I would have had this podcast years ago, because we are really just breaking it down for people. So this is amazing. The next question I have goes right along with the numbers here. Obviously, most people can understand the concept of what a stable disc is, because the word stable implies it's going to fly pretty much straight. How about you, Tim, since you haven't talked in a few minutes? Can you go over the difference between an overstable disc and an understable disc?
Yeah, the first thing I'm going to point out is, depending on where you live in the country, these words are going to have different meanings to the people that you play with.
Wow.
Well said.
And if you look online, this subject is probably the source of more fights on disc golf forums than many other things. Is what's, one person says the disc is overstable and another person says you're using the word wrong. So I'm going to give my interpretation of it, just kind of based on what the actual definitions of those types of words mean. So for me, a stable disc means that it holds the line that you put it on. So if you throw it straight, it goes straight. If you throw it on an anhyzer, it holds that anhyzer line and it's stable throughout the line you threw it on. If you throw it on a hyzer line, it stays on the hyzer line. And for the newer folks out there, all hyzer means for a right-handed back-handed player is that the outer edge of the disc that's farther away from you, is lower than the inner edge of the disc, so it will tend to go left. And anhyzer is the opposite. The outside edge is higher than the inside edge, so the disc tends to go right. But a stable disc is stable through its flight, so it holds whatever line you put on it. So if you're throwing a stable disc and it's going to the right, that's because you started it with an angle to the right, or an anhyzer angle.
Right.
Overstable basically means that as the disc slows down, and its spin slows down and its airspeed slows down, it will dump to the left. Again, as a right-handed, backhanded player. So if you were to throw it flat, an overstable disc has a tendency to kind of fall out of the air to the left. And the more overstable it is, the faster it starts to go left, and the more severe of an angle it kind of pitches into as it goes left. An understable disc is going to do the opposite. If you were to throw it flat, its tendency is to go right. And if we were to tie that to Zach's really good explanation of the turn and fade numbers, an understable disc is going to have a -2, a -3, a -4 in its turn rating. And an overstable disc, that turn rating is going to be a 0 usually, and then its fade rating will be a 2, 3, or a 4. So kind of tie those two subjects together. That's kind of my interpretation of the term stable, overstable, and understable.
Awesome. So I'm a new player. Why on earth would I want a disc that's not stable, Zach?
It'll give you a little extra distance, and you can learn in an easier way how to kind of work an anhyzer. I wish I would have known years ago that I could use an understable disc to figure out how to throw an anhyzer, because some people just can't throw a flick, but they need a disc to go to the right. That's where I stand on that one.
Right. So what would you guys say? Can you list off, just off the top of your head, some really overstable discs and some really understable discs?
Nuke and an Ape are way overstable.
Right.
For
Michelin.
For me, Michelin as well.
Viper.
A Whippet. If you're a new player and you're like, oh, I want to get a Whippet, this is really, nope, do not.
Yeah, these are your lists don't get till you're able to really throw those putters and mid-ranges.
And for an understable, for a beginner, I would tell you to just go ahead and get you a Kite, a Sear, or an Underworld. Those are ones that I've either thrown or seen thrown well as an understable disc, and I think they'll work for a beginner. But again, it's all subjective, and you'll be the judge of that as the individual player.
Awesome. Do you have anything to add, Tim?
No, those are great recommendations. Those are all great recommendations.
Awesome. Okay, so that kind of ends our warm-up. This is going to be a long podcast, but that's okay. This is so much great information. I think that this is going to be an amazing podcast. I'm so super excited about it still. So the next segment we're going to do, we're going into our quiz show. Should I put on the mustache again?
You might better want to.
Would that make you feel more like...
I feel like you're on my team.
Like we're on the same team?
Yep. We'll come to get you, Tim. Welcome to the Thunderdome.
I should have mailed you. Do you have a mustache already, Tim?
I do not.
Okay, I should have mailed you one of these. If
you're missing out, Tim. It's where I get all my power from.
I'll just hold my finger over my upper lip and pretend.
I have a lot of extra fake mustaches around the house because we found out that we're having a boy. So every party we have here at the house, we all wear fake mustache. So it's become normal. Actually, just a normal part of my dress.
I just fit right in.
Yeah. Well, you should actually, because I got different kinds too.
I would thought about putting each one on my eyebrows.
I'm wearing a Tom Selleck mustache right now.
Very 70s.
Yes.
Is there a Raleigh Fingers floating around?
Is there what?
Is there a Raleigh Fingers floating around?
He had a great mustache.
He did. I just dated myself really badly.
That was awesome.
Okay, so our second segment, this is more subjective questions, and this is going to test Tim and Zach's knowledge of disc golf and disc golf history. I'm just going to go out there on a whim and say I probably wouldn't know any of these questions, but you guys are so fantastic that I think you will.
Oh, the pressure.
Yes. So let's start with Zach. If you answer this question right, I'll give you the next question. And then, well, whatever happens, happens. Well, I'll try to make it even between the two of you. But if you get it wrong, I'm going to go to the other guy. So don't holler out unless it's your turn.
All right. Well, good luck, Tim.
Good luck, man.
I'm not counting points, so.
I'm counting points.
Yeah, well, you're always counting points. That's why we can't use the UDisc app, because on the disc golf course, because you're counting points and I don't want you to know my score. Okay, because then I can't say I'm neg 6, and you're like, there's no way I have you down as +1.
Yes.
Okay, Zach. When was these questions come from the PDGA website, so we're real official here. Okay. When was disc golf first played?
Hold on, let me look that up on my phone.
Yeah. No, don't. Okay, you don't have to give me a year, but you can just kind of...
I want to say late 60s, early 70s.
Okay.
If I had to guess, I want to say 72. I don't know why that number comes to my head, but I think like with the baskets and everything, I think 72.
You're right, and you're wrong. Tim, when was disc golf first played?
1970 something.
You're right, and you're wrong. Okay, get this. The first known instance of anyone playing golf with a flying disc occurred in Vancouver in 1926.
Whoa.
A group of school-age kids played a game with 10 lids, which they dubbed 10-lid golf. They played a fairly regular basis on a impromptu disc golf course that they laid out on the school grounds. So that's the first recorded disc golf, 1926.
Wow.
So that was the part where you're wrong. Okay. But you are right as we move into the next question. Tim, this one's for you. Where were the first recorded disc golf tournaments and leagues set up?
I'm going to have to say California.
Okay. Zach. Zach had better get this.
I want to say Virginia Beach.
No. You need to get this. Try again.
Wait, no. Pensacola, Florida.
Another one of the places you would like to mention.
Alabama. Tennessee. I don't know.
Utah, the Sweden of United States. No, get this, Zach. You'll love this. A small group of people from Rochester, New York.
Oh, come on.
Had been playing disc golf as a competitive sport on a regular basis, tournaments and league play and all. They started in August of 1970, and by 1972 promoted the second annual City of Rochester Disc Golf Championships. Shout out to Rochester.
Those guys from Chain Cutters Union are going to get an earful for not telling me all that stuff.
They're cheering. I figured that would be like if I kept going with you, you would eventually land in Rochester.
I couldn't believe I messed that up.
What's so many chances.
Yeah, what's your relationship to Rochester?
Rock City? Oh, Genesee beer, man.
Is that no your personal relationship to Rochester?
Oh, the Chain Cutters Union, man.
I thought you'd lived there or something.
No, I've been down there to party, but never to live there.
That's awesome. Are you still enjoying your coffee?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's real good.
Okay. Are you waking up a little bit? Because you're pulling on your face right now.
Yeah.
He's pulling his hair out as we speak.
It's intense coffee.
Okay. All right. This one's a tough one, Tim. Are you ready?
Oh, shoot.
Who has the distinction of being named PDGA number 1?
I would have to say Steady Ed Hedrick.
Yep.
There it is. Boom.
Got
Oh,
one.
one I knew. I feel so much better about myself now.
Crushed it. Way to go, Tim. Broke the ice.
Upon actually he was actually one of the initiators of initial creators of disc golf. He worked for the Whammo company, and it says on the PDGA website, upon another one of the founders of disc golf, Dan Roddick's urging, the feedback from the fledgling but rapidly growing disc golf community, Ed Hedrick decided to include disc golf as an event in the upcoming 1975 World Frisbee Championship. Ed became so convinced that disc golf could be big, he resigned from his position at Whammo and to start up his disc golf association company in 1976. Zach, what did he do in 1977?
Ooh. What?
Had it just to do with where we live.
Oh, he made the Bayville Disc Golf Course.
Boom. Things historical.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so now moving on. That was the disc golf history, a little bit of disc golf history. Now we're going to the PDGA rulebook. How confident are you guys in your PDGA rules?
I'm all right. I feel like I follow the rules most of the time.
What do you think, Tim?
It's so-so.
Okay. These they might be a little bit difficult, but not too difficult.
As long as we're not actually in section 6, paragraph 4, page 19, line. No way. But
Did you read my notes?
no,
That was the first question.
Oh, man.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so Zach.
Yeah.
A putt is any throw from blank meters or less as measured from the rear marker of the disc to the base of the target. How many meters is it from the basket before it's considered a putt?
I always. Oh man, I don't know how many meters. I always just say that inside of 30 feet for me, but I don't know.
What do you think, Tim?
I want to say 10 meters.
10 meters. Boom.
Isn't 10 meters
Tim,
30 feet?
It is, but if you look to the conversion chart on the PDGA website, it says it's 32 feet 10 inches. I don't understand that.
I'm getting robbed.
But because 10 meters is 30 feet, right? But it says if you're not going off any meter measurement, if you're going off our standard measurement, it's 32.10.
No kidding.
Yeah, I think a meter is 3.2 feet.
Okay, there you go.
I think.
Boom.
Science.
Physicist.
Yes,
Science. Awesome. Okay. This one's a true or false. I got a bunch of true or false ones here, but Tim, true or false? It is a penalty to throw an unmarked disc.
True.
True. But the player gets one warning before getting a 2-stroke penalty if they do it again.
That's why you always carry a permanent marker in your bag.
Yep.
That, and in case you ace and your friends can sign it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Who did I just ask? Just
Tim.
Okay, Zach, your turn. True or false? Disposal of a cigarette butt on the ground is a courtesy violation.
That is true.
True. Boom. See, you're nailing it.
And reason for a small beating.
Yes. So, see, you guys weren't. Y'all need to go back and listen to the Confidence podcast because I knew that y'all had this.
We're getting there.
You were amazing for these questions, for not having any kind of prompting. Okay. Let's see. What's the next one? All right. True or false? A courtesy violation gets one warning, then a 2-stroke penalty for each additional violation.
I think you're pulling a trick question there. I want to say it's a warning the first time and a single stroke the next time, so I'm going to say false.
You are right, Tim.
Good answer, Tim.
Boom.
All right.
And I'm sorry I didn't pick one of you out for doing that. That was kind of a grab bag. All right, let's go back to Zach then. No. I wrote that one down, but I didn't write the answer, so we're skipping that one because I don't know the answer. Okay.
Well, ask it anyway. Maybe we might know.
Throwing out of turn when you are not away is a courtesy violation. or a two. Oh, I'm sorry. Throwing out of turn when you are not away is it a courtesy violation or a 2-stroke penalty?
It's a courtesy violation. You get a warning and then a stroke penalty after that.
Boom. Boom, boom, boom. You got this, Zach. Amazing. Okay, now we're going back to Tim. Tim, true or false? This is tough. If a disc breaks, the piece farthest from the basket is considered your lie. True or false?
I want to say, because winners here in Chicago, that happens a lot. We always play it's the biggest piece of the disc, not the furthest away.
Boom. Nail on the head.
That's awesome. Great answer. I was excited about that one.
Yeah, because that one's a tough one. Because that really does sound like a trick question. You would think it would be like the furthest piece from the basket, but it actually is. It's the largest piece of your disc. Awesome. Okay, let's see. Zach, this is kind of tough. Actually, both of you can work together. If you can get these, I'll be really impressed, which is important because that's y'all's job to impress me.
That's my goal.
That's a terrible goal. Y'all already impressed me. Okay, name 4 times when a mini is required to mark a lie.
4 times.
4 times. So you have your putts. I mean, you mark a lie for off the tee. You drive, then you mark it when you're putting.
I see where you're going there, but they went in a different direction.
All right.
I'll give you a hint. Number 1 is marking an approximate lie. So I think that covers all those that you just said. So I'll give you number 1.
I think another one would be mark where it goes OB.
Yeah,
yes.
The 3 meters in from wherever it goes OB or whatever it is.
That would be the third one. Relocating the lie within 1 meter of an out of bounds area.
What about for a provisional?
Would that be taking relief?
No.
Yeah, that's casual. I think that's casual water or something like that.
Okay. Well, the other 2 are taking relief and marking a disc above or below the playing surface.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that one was a real hard one. I'm sorry.
That was tough.
This one I know you guys will know, so just holler it out when you think you know it. A player has blank seconds after arriving at his discs to throw during his turn.
30, unless you're Nico LaCastro.
Whoa, name dropping.
Whoa, sorry. That was a good answer, though.
What's up with Nico?
I'm a huge Nico fan, but he does take longer than 30 seconds. I love Nico. He's a great player.
Yeah, he is. But I was not aware. I never noticed that. Nico,
yeah, if you
want to come
video,
on the show, you know there is one thing on the PDGA in the rule book. It also states, and this could be extremely subjective depending on who's there, but it's not just when it's your turn and you have your disc in your hand. It also stipulates that there are no distractions. So from the time like people stop making noise and stuff is when your 30 seconds starts. From what I read.
Yes.
So that they may be able to extend it a little longer if people are making noise around.
So from what I gather from all this, Nico LaCastro is like LeBron James. He can just take 4 or 5 steps on his way to the basket.
Yes. Have you seen the new commercial?
Yes.
I really want Nico on the show, so let's Nico's
too angry.
Amazing player.
No, actually, I gotta say I saw him at the GBO and he was totally composed. He was just threw some amazing shots, some amazing rollers, and he's one hell of a putter. I'll tell you what, he's really, really good.
He was my first, other than Ken Climo, my first pro that I really tried to follow and thought the world of. I actually have one of his stamped discs, the limited edition ones. Buzz, actually. I really like it. Okay, moving on. Nico LaCastro. Let's see. Oh, a disc shall be declared lost if a player cannot locate it within blank minutes after arriving at the spot where it was last seen.
2 minutes.
I want to say 3 minutes. And
3 minutes.
And it's from the time when everybody in your group starts helping you look.
Yes. Very good.
Well, I've been rushing people. My bad.
No, you want to let them hang out over by their bag as long as you can while you're looking for your disc. That just gets you that extra time.
That's true.
Okay, you guys, that was the PDGA rule book. You guys did amazing on that, so good job. Now we're to the lightning round. Now they get super hard.
Are these all PDGA rules, or are these just disc golf knowledge?
Both. Everything I have came from the PDGA website.
Okay.
As of today. Okay. This one is really difficult. I'll send it out to Tim. What is the official name that the PDGA gives for a disc golf basket?
Wow. I'm assuming it's not disc golf basket. So that thingy with the chains in it.
Yes, the thingy with the chains in it. That's what they.
I'm gonna say let's call it a target.
Okay, and Zach, what is it?
Yeah, I think it's a target.
What's amazing is that this is the official name that the PDGA gives a disc golf basket is something I have never heard anybody refer to a basket before. Pole hole.
What?
Okay.
I've never heard that, and I read the rule book.
It's not in the rule book. If you go into PDGA.com and then you go under, I think it's about, and then you go to something like what is disc golf or something like that, they say into a disc golf basket, otherwise known as a pole hole. And then they have the little trademark symbol next to it.
I think that comes from, have you guys played on tone poles or pole hole courses before? So maybe that's what they had before they had a basket, so they just carried the name over.
Probably. But it is trademarked on their website, so there is that. Pole hole.
I prefer thingy with chains. I'm
Thingy
going
with
with that.
chains. The official name. Okay. You're going to get this one right because you already brought it up. So I'll just throw it out there. Whoever wants to answer can answer. True or false? It is not a courtesy violation to refuse to help another player find a lost disc. True or false? It is not a courtesy violation to refuse to help another player find a lost disc.
That's got to be false.
False. It is a violation. So next time you're out there with your group and somebody goes looking for it and you're being impatient, you're actually violating, and you can get a 1-stroke penalty for that.
Interesting. I saw a guy do that during the tournament. Not going to name drop Pat Beard, but I
thought you were going to say McCormick.
No.
Is that a real person?
That's a real person.
Did you just say a real person's name?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now we got that guy and Nico. I'm gonna. Can I forward the hate mail just directly to you guys?
That's fine. I know where Pat Beard's at. I can find him.
Okay. Well, why don't we just offer him time on the show?
Deal.
Awesome.
Zach and I are taking turns driving the bus today.
Driving me right into the wall. Awesome. Okay. Next one. All right. Let's see. All right. This one comes from the Q&A part. So I'll just do the Q part and you guys answer the best you can. Let's go with Tim again. Question. My desk. Let me just tell you something. When I wrote my book, sometimes I was writing my book using the dictation software because I got fat fingers, and sometimes I type stuff that shouldn't be there, which explains the first version 1 of the book, even though I paid 2 different
editors.
Actually, that more explains version 1.5 coming out 4 months later. Anyway, so I do a lot with dictation. And so almost every time I said the word disc or disc golf or something like that, the computer spelled desk. So desk golf might be a thing I invented.
Crushed it.
It sounds hard.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like heavy. It's heavy. All right. So, question. My disc landed in a spot that's very hard, rocky ground. May I place a towel or pad in order to protect my knee?
Yeah.
I'm going to say no.
Zach's actually correct.
Oh, nice.
I have heard out on the disc golf course somebody say that you weren't allowed to do this, but I found it in the Q&A on the PDGA website. It says, yes, you may place a towel or small pad with less than 1 centimeter thick when compressed on the lie, including within a drop zone or teeing area. And that's applicable rules 801.03 artificial devices. So you can actually do that, but you got to make sure it measures less than 1 centimeter thick.
So you have to bring your calipers too?
Well, Zach's really particular about his disc size, and so
I like 21.2 centimeters, and I will have nothing less.
good thing we have infinitediscs.com to tell us the exact diameters and stuff.
Yes.
Okay, this is the last question of Disc Golf 101. All right, are you guys ready?
Do it.
Ready.
All right, this one, I'm going to go to Zach again. There's a huge spider web right in front of me where I want to throw. Can I knock it down?
You may not.
Tim?
I think the rule is loose and unattached, and that is neither of those.
It's funny because if Zach says no and then I go Tim, then it's obviously yes. But here's what they say.
I thought maybe you're looking for confirmation of Zach's answer.
Oh, could be.
Wait a minute. They said you can knock down a spider web?
I'm going to answer it right now. Only if it's in your stance, in which case it can be considered in the general category of debris and removed as a casual obstacle. If it's only in your flight path, it cannot be removed. Applicable rules 803.01 obstacles and relief.
I'd like to know what the spider thinks about that.
I know, right?
I'm calling PETA.
It doesn't say you can kill the spider. That keeps mosquitoes away. So that ends our Disc Golf 101. But, Tim, I've still got you on the line.
Yes.
Guess what's getting ready to happen?
Uh-oh.
It didn't happen last episode, but do you know what's going to happen now?
I think I'm about to get grilled by the Ticklish Hamster.
That's right. Woo!
It's time for the Ring of Fire.
Do you want my fake mustache?
No, I already have enough mustache.
Well, it'll pull your... Well, I'm going to wear it while you do it.
Tim, are you ready?
I am as ready as I can be.
You're going to get 3 questions. Because we've asked so many disc golf related questions, the 3 questions that you are going to receive are not the same as other people. You consider yourself lucky and probably should be afraid.
I'm already scared.
All right. Are you ready for your first question?
Shaking and ready.
Tim, what is your favorite book to give away?
Ooh, my favorite book to give away. I'm going to have to go with the one that I've given away the most, which is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
That is incorrect. It is Zen and the Art of Disc Golf.
Why didn't I think about that? Now I feel dumb.
That's funny. Say that again.
Banned from the podcast forever.
No. Which book was it? I'd have to add it to the Zen Disc Golf.
It's Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. It's Viktor Frankl was a guy who was.
Today.
It's amazing. He was in the Holocaust and he was in concentration camps.
That's right. I think somebody just talked about that on Tim. What's his name?
Tim Ferriss?
Tim Ferriss's podcast, just the other day. Sorry.
It's a remarkable book. It really is.
Yes.
All right, Tim, second question. What is your favorite Saturday morning cartoon?
Past or present?
Oh, past or present. I've got to go with the old Looney Tunes, but it's got to have Daffy and Bugs in it.
Okay. All right.
It's
Solid
really
answer.
Specific.
Solid answer.
That limits you to like 13 minutes of cartoon history.
I was always really into Scooby-Doo. That was kind of my jam.
G.I. Joe.
Pre or post Scrappy?
Where everyone fights.
Scrappy's a jerk.
Perfect.
And I want to just take a minute. You said G.I. Joe. Do you know why Cobra was so successful? Brand recognition. When they attacked, they let you know it was Cobra because they screamed it the whole time.
That's right.
Brand recognition.
G.I. Joe, where everyone fights a war but no one dies.
Yes. All right. Third question, Tim. What skill do you possess that no one knows you have?
Wow.
At least not in the public eye from like your Twitter following or.
That is a tough question.
Well, we couldn't be easy on you and just ask what 3 discs you have. You would have known that one.
I cook the best chili you've ever had. And that's a strong statement because I know there's a lot of people out there who think that they can cook some good chili, but I've got to say that I'm pretty damn good at that.
Nice.
Very nice. Me and my mom disagree, but that's fine.
I knew somebody would, and I figured Pat working at a firehouse would probably disagree as well. I'm guessing there's some excellent chili cooked there.
Well, we used to eat chili a lot, but since we went paleo on the last episode, the bean thing.
Okay.
No, but for real, a lot of the guys in the fire department now have gone the paleo route. When I first started about 8 years ago, we ate a ton of lasagna, spaghetti, all kinds of pasta. Pizza was regularly on the menu, and now a lot of the guys do eat the paleo thing, and so kind of beans are not in with that. I still eat beans at home. And chili at home, but I've made chili the past like 4 or 5 times and haven't liked it, so you're probably right.
Now, Tim, because I shared what my cartoon was, my skill that no one knows that I have is that I am a goat whisperer.
Really?
Yes, I recently deployed to Africa, and there's just goats everywhere, and I really wanted to catch one. They're wild, they're feral, and I was thinking, it's like, hey, goat, come here, man. And they don't like that, so you just run them down, catch up to them, and pick them up, and they put up a pretty good fight. But yeah,
There wasn't a lot to do there, was there?
No, not really.
This just new in the disc golf world. Zach, the Ticklish Hamster, the Goat Whisperer.
The Goat Whisperer.
Why didn't you name your Twitter handle that?
I don't know. The first thing that came into my head was Ticklish Hamster.
I still don't understand that.
It could have been worse.
I know it could have been, but I still don't get it.
It could have been like toe web paper cut.
Have you ever owned a hamster?
I know my children have guinea pigs, though, and I frequently tell my wife that I am super excited for guinea bacon.
I hear it's delicious.
That's what I hear.
It's probably not much meat on them bones.
And it's paleo.
It probably, yeah. Hey, small game is supposed to be like some of the healthiest meat you can eat. So this new in Zen Disc Golf world. All right, we've really taken the wheels off this wagon. If that's a thing, I think I just maybe add that up. But
you can edit out my part about eating hamsters.
No, we're gonna leave that in.
Oh.
We're gonna leave it in.
You can take out the part about me taking out the part about that part.
I already got to take out the F-bomb from the last episode.
That wasn't my fault.
It's okay. By the time people hear this, they're gonna go back to the last episode and see where it was. Because it's not in there anymore.
It's like, Chris Bowden's going to be going through second by second. I'm not hearing it.
He will. He does that for his name anyway. But we appreciate that. We only have one listener. It's pretty much him. And Lions fan 1.
He travels a lot. He hits a lot of different countries.
Oh, yeah, he does. He's in Sweden. He's in Finland. He's Utah, the Sweden of the United States.
Yes.
So, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you learned a lot about disc golf. I know I did on this episode. Zach, did you have fun?
Absolutely, I did.
Tim, you have fun?
A blast.
Are you going to be back with us?
I hope so. Am I welcome back?
Absolutely, man.
All
We
right.
want to make you an honorary third.
Well, I appreciate that.
And then if Zach gets sick, then we can have you as an honorary second.
Perfect.
Just wash your hands after those goats, Zach. You won't get sick.
I will.
And if Zach and I get sick, we'll just have you do the podcast on your own.
Okay.
He's like, I got it. Don't worry about it.
Sure. Bring it.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the voice for it, so may as well.
Yes.
So everyone, thank you so much for listening. Hope you learned something. Hope you had some fun. Hope you can ignore some of our comments about goats and children's cartoons. And just know that we're having fun, too. Always check out mindbodydisc.com. Check them out on Twitter. Check them out on Facebook. Check out zendiscgolf.com. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Vine. Where else are we? Periscope. We are everywhere.
Yes.
And the Ticklish Hamster. Follow the Ticklish Hamster on Twitter.
Yes.
That's all I'm asking. Please follow the Ticklish Hamster on Twitter.
Yes.
And here's the deal. If you follow @Ticklish Hamster, Zach promises he will tweet something other than just retweeting Zen Disc Golf tweets.
That's true. I generally don't say a whole lot.
He just retweets me and Tim.
That's what I'm going to do.
So people are going to follow you and drop both of us because they know they'll get...
Yes.
Nice.
I'm a huge fan of just tweeting ridiculous photos, so I just need to be around ridiculous disc golf stuffs at all time.
Awesome. So everyone check those things out. Have a great week. And thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe. Tim, thanks for being on the show. We'll definitely have you on again sometime real soon. But most importantly, just throw.